If there is no struggle, there is no progress. Those who profess to favor freedom and yet depreciate agitation are men who want crops without plowing up the ground. They want rain without thunder and lightning. They want the ocean without the awful roar of its many waters. Frederick Douglass, a runaway slave, abolitionist, and social leader, 1857. 144 years later, my family and I immigrated to the US from Colombia. And while we certainly found a bright future, if there is no struggle, there is no progress. And we most definitely struggled in adapting to this new country. Myself, growing up as a feminine gay Latino in a conservative, semi-rural suburb of Texas, let's just say fitting in wasn't a painless process. But there certainly was progress. I learned to be unwavering in my identity with the help of a loving, diverse community I eventually found. Like Frederick Douglass, who bought his freedom with the help of his British allies, I learned that we are not meant to struggle alone. I owe my community everything, and with them in my heart, I headed to Harvard. There, I learned that communities like my own tended to have worse health outcomes when compared to more privileged populations, not because of anything inherently wrong with our identities, but because of the social structures around us that limit the access to good health people have in our society. Thankfully, my public health classes also equipped me with the tools to critically analyze these structures and how they impact health, and more importantly, how to intervene to change them. So I joined community organizing efforts like the Harvard Student Labor Action Movement, supporting local strikes in Boston and on campus, as well as advocating for racial justice at Harvard and in my community in Dallas during the summer. Amidst this, COVID-19 hit, and I knew that communities of color were going to be among the hardest hit. So I moved to Philadelphia, where I served over 1,700 hours on the front lines as a community health worker, supporting Black and Brown families in low-income schools with everything from applying for food stamps to organizing COVID-19 vaccine clinics. These experiences then led to a second gap year as a research assistant at the Johns Hopkins Center for Health Equity, where I now work on addressing health disparities through community-based participatory research. As I embark on this next journey, I know that the Frederick Douglass Global Fellowship is my next step. As a public health practitioner, understanding and being able to bridge the cultural divides between different groups is paramount to caring for the health of a nation so diverse as our own. The coursework in the fellowship will allow me to follow in the footsteps of Frederick Douglass himself, who worked with American, British, and Irish abolitionists from diverse backgrounds to achieve their collective goal of abolition. Likewise, achieving health equity will require multi-sectoral interventions, and the opportunity to build community with like-minded change makers who have their own unique backgrounds, passions, and fields will both strengthen my work and provide me a network of peers who support one another on this journey towards justice. Finally, this fellowship will allow me to realize my dream of connecting U.S. domestic struggles to those abroad. This dream actually led me to be chosen as the first Harvard-born scholar in 2021, where I was to study public health and Arabic. And I'm just itching to get out into the world and learn as much as I can from it. Like Frederick, I know that local and global change are inextricably linked, and this opportunity to study social struggles in Ireland will allow me to broaden my perspective that I will then take back to my community and bridge oceans in the fight for equity. By now, I hope to have convinced you that I'm a daring leader who knows what he wants, but between us, I'm also scared. I'm scared of never being the first physician in my family, scared of entering a profession where less than 1% of all physicians are gay Latinos. I'm scared of never realizing my passion for health equity on a global scale. But when I think about these things now, I think about Frederick Douglass, who, despite escaping the brutalities of slavery, continued to expose himself to those fears and dangers because of his love for his community, because of his commitment to them. If he can do that, then I know that yes, there will be some days with rain and thunder and lightning and an ocean whose awful roar will drown out the sound of my own heart racing, but I too can fight for my community. Because if there is no struggle, there is no progress, and leaders aren't fearless, leaders have courage in the face of fear. And like Frederick Douglass, I will have courage too. My name is Nicolas Dominguez Carrero, and I'm a public health practitioner at Harvard College. I want to plow up the ground and make this world a healthier place for everyone. Will you help me do that?